This morning, I'm speaking not about war in the abstract. I'm speaking about a ceasefire that was not only breached, but in all probability never intended to be honoured in the first place. Zelensky, speaking just hours ago in Paris, has confirmed what many people feared. Russia's latest violations in Kherson mark the demonstrable and deliberate collapse of a fragile truce brokered by the United States just a couple of days ago. The tentative US agreement, concluded after rounds of parallel talks in Saudi Arabia, and aimed to curtail attacks on energy infrastructure and restore safe passage through the Black Sea. Ukraine agreed, the US backed it, Russia claimed to comply as early as March the 18th, but the ambiguity of implementation, the absence of formal monitoring mechanisms, and the lack of unified documentation, three separate truce texts, according to Zelensky, should have rung alarm bells. On March the 27th, Russian forces shelled the civilian city of Kherson for over an hour, targeting the railway station, residential blocks, and crucially the power grid, violating the ceasefire clause on energy infrastructure. 2 civilians were killed, 5 injured. These weren't wayward rockets. These were standard artillery rounds launched from across the Dnipro River with pinpoint proximity, with pinpoint accuracy. This comes during the ongoing bombardment of Kharkiv, Sumy and Dnipro. Zelensky's been unambiguous. This was not a battlefield strike. This was a deliberate attack on civilian life and vital systems, the kind of act that shatters international confidence in Russia's commitment to any process resembling peace. At the conference in Paris, Zelensky said plainly, the truce is broken 100%. He's now tasked Defense Minister Rustem Umerov to deliver documentation to the US proving Russia's breach. And his frustration is unmistakable, not only with Russia, but with the United States. We know everything that has been hit, he said. We monitor 24 hours a day. What matters now is not who monitors, but who acts. This wasn't a lament, it was a challenge. A call for the US to move beyond diplomacy by PowerPoint and towards some sort of accountability. Let's not be naive. Vladimir Putin's so-called ceasefire is a strategic performance, a bit of theatre, not a sincere gesture. Russia benefits enormously from the illusion of cooperation. Ceasefires buy time, they relieve pressure, they allow reorganization, they are a screen behind which rearmament occurs and public opinion abroad is lulled into fatigue and fatalism. And Russia now has conditioned Black Sea security on sanctions relief, and we'll do all this if you give us money for fertilizer, if you help us with our banking, demanding that the US and the EU ease swift restrictions on Russian banks. In other words, we'll stop shelling grain routes if you open your wallet. It's extortion masquerading as diplomacy, and this fits into the bigger pattern, the bigger picture. Russia agrees to ceasefires it never intends to uphold, not out of weakness, but from a place of brutal calculation. During the Syrian conflict, Russia violated truce after truce, always blaming the other side, and the pattern continues: delay, deflect, deceive. Even as the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov talks of constructive dialogue with the US, Russian forces launched drone attacks on Zelensky's hometown in what the local authorities called the most massive kamikaze drone strike since the war began. It's worth noting even the definition of the ceasefire was murky. Moscow said it started on March the 18th. Ukraine was told it started on March the 25th. Such ambiguity isn't by accident, it's by design. What we now see is the disintegration of diplomatic illusion. Now, it's great that there's talking going on. I'm not suggesting that should stop in any way. But I don't think anybody should be under any illusion that one side of this conversation is managed by people who are invested and who are practiced in deceit, in lies, in not saying anything which is true. But that is a start, isn't it? At least we know. At least we know. We know the language that they are speaking.